All right. So I think I've started recording now. Are you all seeing, is there like, there's like a little red dot or something like that in the corner? Does that sound right?
Yeah, you're
Yep.
yes.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that showed up the other day. And so it means it's working. Awesome. So again, the learning target is I can solve problems by interpreting the quotients. Okay, so for today, what this means is we're going to be doing some problems. They're going to be kind of word problems, which I know can be a little frustrating sometimes, but we're going to practice some of them. So before we get too far, I want to show you something here. And I do want you to write this in. Now, I know this is going to take a little bit of time to write this in, but please just write the parts that I highlighted. So in today's word problems, to help you get an idea of what the answer should be after you do your division, there are 3 kind of questions that will be asked and 3 things you should do with those questions. So if the question is asking you how many whole groups, so in your notes, you could write whole groups. So you might even write it like this in your notes, okay? My writing's gonna be a little sloppy, but you might even write whole, oops. There we go. You might write whole groups equals, drop the decimal, okay? Just kind of a little like note to remind you of what you're gonna do. And I'm gonna show you 3 examples of problems, okay? So you would write whole groups equals drop the decimal. Now for this second one, so that's maybe like, it's not really number 1, but you might put like a little bullet point there. Well, you might actually be able to put one. I'm struggling. Okay. The second one is going to say whole groups put all items into a group. You might just write whole groups to put all items into a group. Okay. And that's going to make more sense once we do a problem together. And that means you're going to round the quotient up to the next whole number, the next whole number. I should have highlighted that part too. And the last one is if it's asking for an exact number, you use the entire quotient, means you're going to use the decimal part as well. Okay. So the first option, whole groups, you're dropping the decimal part. The second part, putting whole groups, all of the items into a group, you're going to round the quotient up to a whole number or exact number. Now, what this means is you might do the division for all these problems, and you're going to do the division correctly because you all know how to. And then the question is, to get the right answer, I have to know how to interpret the question that is being asked. And this can be the challenging part, okay? So we're gonna do 3 problems together, and then I'm gonna let you get going on your own, and I'll help people with as many problems as they have, okay? So what I'm gonna ask for right now is, I can't really see your faces, okay? So what I'm wondering is, can you just let me know how many of these you have left? There's 3 things to write, 3 statements you're going to write. Can I just have you say 0, 1, 2, or 3?
1.
0.
2.
0.
1.
Okay, so I'm going to wait 1 more minute. And at that time, I'm going to move on. If you have not finished writing all these at that time, it's okay. When I'm done recording the lesson, I will put this back up for you to finish writing down, okay? So you're probably going to need about 1 line for each of these. So if you don't get done writing, just, skip a couple lines, give yourself some space before we get started on the problems, all right? Now, a reminder that I want you to take notes in your notebook, but when it gets to working on the problems, if you have graph paper, you'll probably want to use that. Otherwise, you're going to want to take that lined paper and flip it, okay, so that you can use the columns. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to move on. If you didn't get done writing all them down, that's okay. Like I said, just skip a couple of lines, give yourself some space, and we'll give you time to finish writing those. Okay. So the question says there are 246 students in 6th grade. If Miss Lee buys rolls of film with 24 exposures each, that'd be like, that means 24 pictures each. How many rolls will she need to take every student's picture? All right, now this is like an old school camera where we used to have to buy the film. You don't really do that anymore, but you would put the film in and you had to buy, each set of film could only take 24 pictures. She's got to take 246 students' pictures, 24 for each roll of film. She's trying to figure out how many rolls. So to do this problem, what we need to figure out is if she buys 10 rolls of film, will every student get his or her picture? Well, we got to do the problem first. So let's go do the problem on, I'm going to do some graph paper. And this is a division problem. So I want you to show this in your notes, okay? I come down here, got to get my pen again. You're going to want to do all these answers with decimals. We're not going to do remainders anymore because we're done with that. So 246 okay, I'm going to go and erase this part. I do that, made a little mistake there. Okay. So 246 is going to be divided by 24. So I know that 24 goes into 24 one time. I'm going to do some subtraction there, get a 0, bring the 6 down. 24 is way too big for 6, so it's got to go 0 times. So now when there's a remainder left, I started with 2 whole numbers. So two whole numbers. I need to add a decimal. That's what I do. When there's a remainder, I'm going to add a decimal, unless there's already a decimal there, but there wasn't. Now I can always add a 0 that is not changing that number at all. And I can bring that down. Now, 24 goes into 60 twice. Now I have to put a decimal up here. If I put one right there, I got to put one right there. Sorry, I got to always put the decimal up onto the roof, like I like to say, okay? So 24 goes into 60 2 times, and that is 48. So I know I'm doing some fairly fast mental math right now, but I want you to see the process. So I borrowed 10, brought it over. 10 minus 8 is 2. 5 minus 4 is 1. I'm going to have to add another 0 because, again, I have a remainder. And we don't do remainders anymore. We're in 5th grade now, learning how to do decimal division. Extend this a little bit. 120. So 24, I know that's close to 25. And if I do 25, 50, 75, 100, 125. So if I multiply it by 5, I think I'm going to be close. So I'm going to do that over here. Do 24 times 5 to see if that gets me close to my number. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. All right, got it. Put 120 there. I need to make sure I put a 5 up here. And I get 0. So my answer kind of seems like 10 and 25 hundredths. But here's where it gets a little tricky. Here's where it gets a little tricky. I go back to the problem. Is it asking me for an exact number, or is it asking me for something else? So let's go back and look at these. It says if there's 246 students and 24 exposures each, how many rolls will she need to buy? Okay, or will she need? So I need to look at which option that I had shown you before it is. Okay, how many whole groups? We're not looking for whole groups right now. We're looking for whole groups to put all items into a group. We need all the items. All the kids' pictures need to be taken, okay? That means I need to round up to the next whole number. This is not your normal kind of rounding, okay? So again, if it says 10 and 25 hundredths, that means that I need If I only did 10 films, there's some left over. There's some kids not getting a picture. I got to bump this up. So my answer would actually be 11. Okay? My actual answer would actually be 11. She would need to get 11 rolls of film to be able to make sure she could take a picture of everybody. So these questions are challenging because we did the division, we did it right, and yet if I wrote this number, that's the wrong answer. Okay? So you have to go back to the word problem and make sure that what you're writing for your answer fits the word problem. This is why these problems can be challenging. We've got to do the division first, which we've all gotten really good at. And then we have to figure out what the question is actually asking us. Okay, and I can help with that while we do the problems today, but just a heads up, that's what we're working on today. All right, we're gonna do two more problems. All right. This one says, Julius is supplying cups for a party of 136 people. If cups are sold in packs of 24, how many packs of cups will he need? Okay, how many packs of cups will he need? So, again, just real quick, I want to come up here. Which one of these do we think it is? Are we looking for whole groups? Whole groups are putting all items into a group, or an exact number? Okay, so let's look at that question again. He's supplying cups for a party of 136 people. So we need enough cups for everybody. If cups are sold in packs of 24, how many packs of cups will he need? Okay, so what we're trying to figure out, got to do the division first. Let's do the division first. So we got 136. And then dividing it by 24. I got to make sure, I'm going to double check and make sure I got my numbers right. All right, I'm going to let you write that down real quick. I want to look to see. It looks like maybe there's a couple people tried to write me a chat. Okay. All right, so 24 does not go into 13. It's too big. So I need to figure out how many times is 24 going to 136. Well, again, I know 24 is close to 25. So if I do my quick mental math, 25 times 5, I know is 125. So I'm going to do 25 or 24. I'm going to do times 5. And we just did that number, luckily. So we kind of know what that is. But I'll do it again real quick. We got 20 there. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. So it's a 120. I can't get closer than that. All right, and that was a 5. So I'm going to have a remainder, which means I'm going to need to add decimals. I got 6 minus 0 is 6, and 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay? So I need to add a 0 because I got 16 left over. I'm going to bring that down. We don't do remainders. 24 goes into 160. Well, 24 times 5 was 120. So I'm going to need to do 24 times 6 and see if that gets me close. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 2. All right, so now I've got 144. So I'm going to show you a little trick here. We had 16 left over here, brought down the 0. I'm going to put a 6 up there. All right, now I'm going to subtract that. And when I subtract it, I'm going to get 16 again. I'm bringing the 0 all the way down. Look, I'm getting the same number. So I'm going to do 24 times 6 again, and I'm going to keep getting that same thing. It's going to keep being 144. I'm going to keep subtracting it. I'm going to keep getting 16. I'm going to keep getting a 0. I don't need to keep repeating the same process over and over. I can do this cool thing where I draw a line up here. That means the 6s go on forever and ever and ever and ever. 0.66 that goes on forever and ever is actually the same as the fraction 2/3. Okay, so the answer is 5.66666. But the question is that really the answer, right? 5.66. Is that really what you're going to buy? Because we can't buy parts of a package. So it says if cups are sold in packs of 24, how many packs of cups will you need? Is 5 packs going to be enough? You can unmute yourself and answer. Is 5 packs going to be enough?
No.
No. No. We're going to have to round up. So we're going to go back here. And we're going to do the same thing where we round the quotient up to the next highest whole number. If we drop the decimal part, it's not enough. Okay? All right. We're going to do one more problem. One more problem, and then I'm going to let you get going on your own work. Okay? Now, I'm not even going to do this whole problem. I just want to help you figure out how would we do the problem. Okay? So Marissa is drawing a timeline of the Stone Age. She plans for 6 equal sections, 2 each for the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic periods. If she has 7 8/10 meters of paper, how long is each section? The question asks exactly how long each section will be when the paper is divided into 6. So you would set up the division problem like this, and it would be 7 8/10 divided by 6. That's how you would set it up. And whatever answer you get would be the exact answer. Okay, we're not going to do the whole problem. I just want you to know that that one's asking for an exact answer, which means we'd be looking at this third one. Exact answer or exact number. If everyone can mute themselves, please. Exact number is use the entire quotient. Okay? So I'm going to stop the recording right now, and then we're going to get started on our problems for today. So hold on one second.